In this session, we are going to discuss about the lasso tool set, like the rectangular marquee tool, elliptical, single row and column tools. These are considered as a marquee tool. Then after, we are going to understand about the object selection tool, quick selection and magic wand tool. We have few more tools that are important for the selection, and that is selection brush tool, lasso tool, polygon lasso tool and magnetic lasso tool. These tools are frequently used for the selection. Let's start from the rectangle marquee tool. When you click to select this tool from here or use the shortcut M from the keyboard, the tool is active. The plus sign indicates the tool is active. We can then after click and hold the button of the mouse and then after drag to create a rectangular region. These dashed lines indicate the area is selected. If you drag once again to create a new selection, the previous one automatically deselected. And selection means active area. Suppose we have requirement to fill the color in this area. We can select the layer, and if you want to add a new layer, click on this plus icon. Make sure the layer is selected. We have the color, so click to select the fill color section. This is foreground fill. Choose any one of the shades of the color from here. This is the color which is selected right now. Click on OK. The same color we want to fill into the selected region, and for that, edit menu, we have the option called fill. When you click on the fill, in the contains section, click and choose to fill the foreground color. Click on OK. We can see we have the color is filled in the selected region only. Once the color is filled, and then if you want to deselect the selected region, for that, go to the select menu. The second option here is the deselect. Shortcut also that you can use Ctrl D. So click to this option so that we have the selection region is deselected. Disable the visibility by clicking on this icon I. Add a new blank layer once again. We can then further move ahead with the next feature of this rectangular marquee tool. When you select the marquee tool, we can find the properties in the top side. So the first is the new selection. When you drag, a selection is created. When you again create a new selection, the previous one is deselected. Every time we have a new selection is added in the scene. But we have sometimes requirement to add multiple selection. When you come to the second option here, add to selection, means when you enable this option, and then after, if you drag to create a region, that instantly added in the previous selection region, and it's not necessary to overlap the part of the selection. But we can also create a region that is separate from the previous selection region area. But still we have the previous selection and the new selection is visible. When you come to the next option, this is the subtract from selection. Whatever the region you have selected in the page, if you want to deselect the specific part of that area, so just choose the option subtract from selection. We can then further drag and create a new region. Whatever comes under the existing selection region and common with the new selection region, that instantly subtracted. See? In the same way, if you want to again deselect the area, you can create a new selection region. And since the subtract is active, the previous selection region automatically deleted, or we can say disable, when we left the button of the mouse. So this is an option through which you can create a new region which is used to subtract the existing selected part of the shape or the graphics, or even if you have a separate selection there also you can try this. Come to the next option, which is used to intersect the selected part. Means if you want to just continue with the specific part of the existing selection region, when we drag to create a new selection region, the common area of the previous selection and the new selection that will remain, other part is deselected, as we can see here clearly. In the same way, if I drag to create a new region, you can see the selection previous region and the new selection region, the common area. The common area only remain, other part are deselected. So we can choose the options according to the requirement. When we add any color in this selected part, the edges are very sharp. Deselect, we can use the shortcut Ctrl D. When you hide the layer, the previous layer that we can active. When you zoom in by holding the Alt and center wheel of the mouse, which is used to zoom in, zoom out. Alt and center wheel of the mouse up and down. We can see here clearly we have the shape, edges are very clear. Just because the feather option is disabled, or we can say the value set to the 0. If you increase the region of the feather, the area, or we can say the boundary of this shape, which is created, is instantly blurry. So it's very important to add a new layer first. Make sure, whenever you want to use the feature, add a new layer, and then after you can try this. I'm going to increase the region of the feather to 20, enter. We can then further create a region. And instantly when the left button of the mouse, the corner rounded. To fill the foreground color, we can also use one shortcut. So either you can go to the edit menu, choose the option fill from here, or directly use the shortcut Alt backspace. When you are using the Windows PC, use the Alt, and when you use the Mac, you use the option key from the keyboard. So option key backspace that you can use in this case. Ctrl D for deselect. We can see here clearly the edges are not sharp, but blurry, just because of the feather feature. Feather is not working when you have the color is applied. So whenever you want to use, it's very important to set the number first, and then after you can try the feature. I'm going to make it plain for now, enter. Add a new blank layer. Again drag and create a new region. We can then fill the color by choosing the Alt backspace from the keyboard. If we compare to the previous one, the shades are lighter into the edges area just because of the value is stain only. So this is how you can use these important features of the lasso tool. Use the selection tool for now. Select all these layers by holding shift and then after delete. Come to the next tool. Just after the rectangle marquee tool is the ellipse marquee tool, which is used to create oval or the rounded area. So we have one area that is rounded is created. These options are just the same like the previous one. Only here we get the rounded area, or we can say circle or the oval, just because of the feature. If you hold the shift button from the keyboard, you can create a perfect circle. And here also we can fill the color by choosing the shortcut Alt backspace. Ctrl D for deselect. Use the selection tool or move tool, click outside. Once again click to select. If you want to delete the part of the area, in this case also use the rectangle or the elliptical marquee tool, which is used to select. Since the rectangle marquee tool is active right now, we can use the add selection. Select the layer, drag and create a region. The area we can see here clearly, but still we have the feather is active. What do you do in this case? Ctrl D for deselect. The amount of the feather that we can set to 0 first. Drag and create a new region. The common area, this part is going to delete when we choose the delete option from the keyboard. So with this way, you can very easily delete the part, but make sure you can apply with the raster layer only and deselect. Again, use the selection tool or the move tool, click and delete. If you come to the next option, that is the single row marquee tool, which is used to mark a single pixel line. Use this one. And when you click, we have the selection is added. Add a new layer also. Want to fill the same color. Alt backspace that we can use. Ctrl D for deselect. When we zoom in, we can see we have the line. So this is a very specific tool which is used for the specific purpose only. I'm going to use the move tool and delete the layer. Add a new blank. In the same way, when you try to use the single marquee tool, this one, the column, here also we can do the same. Control D for deselect. So these marquee tool which is used to create a region of the selection, and there you have options to fill or delete the part of the area. So we can now move ahead with the next set of tool. So click and hold the button of the mouse here. We have object selection tool, quick selection tool, and the last one is the magic wand tool. These three tools are used for the selection. Let's understand the object selection tool first. Click to select the tool. When you have the selection of the tool, it's very important to use any image, graphics, or the shapes. Right now the tool is not active just because here we have nothing to select. But when we switch to the another image or the area, so I have one laptop is open in a new tab. We can see when we come to this area, instantly we can get the selection of the outer region. And then further, when you click one single click to get the selection of the object instantly. So the tool is used to specify the area, or we can say outer region of the selected shapes graphics by choosing the option object selection tool. So we have one option to click on the selected object directly, but we can find few more options when you click to this, the rectangle and the lasso. When you use the rectangle tool, and if you want to select the specific part of the area, suppose we deselect this, drag to create a region. Okay, whatever comes under this rectangular region, the specific part is selected. And if the contrast with the edges are clear, then only you can get the proper selection. And for that reason, we have other tools are also there that we can use in a very specific case. It's a very important and handy tool for us. Control D for deselect once again. Now we can use the lasso tool. Lasso is a freehand tool which is also used for the selection. Suppose we have a character. In this case, what happened when we come to the area, just click at certain point, hold the button of the mouse, and then further you can drag and create a region that is a rough region outside the character. Make sure you can match the starting point and left the button of the mouse. When you do this, Photoshop takes few seconds to load, and then you get the selection of the character inside the lasso tool selection. And then, since the character is selected, we can then further copy, edit, paste, and then further use the selection tool. We can see we have two layers. If we hide the bottom side layer, still we have the character is visible properly with background transparency. So this is a tool which is used for the quick selection as the name suggests. I'm selecting this one and delete. Now come to the next tool, that is quick selection tool. This is the tool which is used to select any shapes, graphics and the outline quickly. When you use this tool, you get three different options in the top side. These are brush. In real world also we can use the brush, and when we come exactly on the screen we have a circle with the minus. The circle indicates the size of the brush, means when you drag the part is going to select. For freehand selection you can use the first option. For a new selection, or we can say freehand selection. Then further you can click where you want to create a region of the selection. And if you click and hold the button of the mouse, the selection region instantly increases. For selection this is one very handy and important tool, which can get the selection quickly. But if you have the selection that is outside the area like this, the area that is not needed for selection, in this case we can choose the subtract option. When you come to this, subtract from selection, click to active the tool. You can now exactly click and drag. So the area is going to deselect. We can restrict the selection region choosing these options. So if the area is not selected, you can use the selection tool, add selection, and then further click and hold the button of the mouse, drag. For better output, we suggest to zoom in, alt center wheel of the mouse that we can use. To change the size of the brush, we can also use the bracket from the keyboard, left and right bracket which is used to change the size of the brush. And from here also we can change the size of the brush. Click outside, and when you choose the plus option, in the center of the selected region of the brush, the plus is visible. If you choose the minus, we can see we have the minus. So you can manage it. The region of the selection that we can increase or decrease. In the same way, we can come to this particular image. Layer is selected. When you click to this, and then further, for new selection, choose the first option. Click at one point, hold the button of the mouse. You can now drag to create a region. Just hold the button of the mouse. If the area is selected which is not required, in this case, you can use the subtract option. And then further zoom in. For pan, left, right, up, down, you can use the spacebar from the keyboard. This is a very handy options. For zoom in, zoom out, alt and center wheel of the mouse. And for panning, you can use the hand tool, which is the shortcut by spacebar. You can then after drag or click and click to deselect the extra selected region. If you want to increase the region of the selection, use the plus once again. You can then further click and click to do that. So this is a feature which is used frequently by us while selection. For deselection, Control D. The next tool is the magic wand tool. Magic wand is used to specify the specific color, and there you have the selection with one click. So when you use the tool, we can understand the tool with one more example. I'm going to use this particular image. Here we can see we have one shades of the color. So go to the layer, click to unlock the background layer. So in this one we have the tolerance value. If you set the value to 0, and when you click, even if you have look like a single color, but technically there is shades of color. With one click, we can get the selection of the specific pixel area. But if you want to increase the region of the selection with similar shades of the color, the value that you can change accordingly. I make it 10, enter. We can now zoom out, and again one click. Now we can see clearly we have the selection region is increased. But still we have the issues in these areas because the area is darker. Control D for deselect. We can also increase the value to 20, enter. Now when you click, you get the better region of the selection. If you want to increase the region of selection in these areas, here also we have the similar option just like the marquee tool. So we can use the second option, add to selection. And this time you don't need to hold any button in the keyboard, just you can click and click to the region and use the spacebar now to pan horizontally, vertically, up and down. These areas are selected. And then further, when you use the delete button from the keyboard, the areas are deleted. But sometimes we need to invert the region of the selection. Instead of this, if you want to select this building, Control Z first, undo. And we can see clearly we have the sky is only selected. Since the part is selected, and if you want to invert the region of the selection from this to the building, in this case, go to the select menu and choose the option inverse. The shortcut is Shift Control I. When you click, the selection region instantly switched from the sky region to the building. Whatever the area that is selected, instantly inverse with this option. So we can see we have the building is highlighted with the selected outline. If you make one copy of this one by choosing the option edit, copy, Control C, we can again go to the edit and choose the option paste. And if you hide this layer, still we have the background. Want to change the color of the background? In this case, we can go to the layer property, layer style, solid color. Choose the color what you want to add for the sky. That may be like this one or this one. Click on OK. The layer is in the upside, so click and hold the button of the mouse. The position of the layer that we can set below side. This is how very easily we can change the color. While designing the graphics, many times we can do that. So these are the features which is available inside the Magic Wand tool. If you go to the next tab to select this particular image, since we have the shapes of the color, not a single color, in this case, the Magic Wand tool is not the ideal tool for the selection. Instead of that, we can try to use the other tool for the selection, just like the object selection and quick selection. Let me show you with an example. If I choose the Magic Wand tool in this case, we have the layer selected. When we click to this, we have the specific area is selected. When we increase the region to suppose 50, enter, click to the area, we are not getting selection of the proper edges. We have unwanted areas are also selected. And for that reason, the tool is not suitable for this particular selected region. Control D for deselect, we can use the other tool. Every tool comes with some unique features, and according to their unique features, we can use the tool to save our time and work flawlessly inside the software. Now, we can move ahead with the next set of the tool. Here we have Selection Brush tool, Lasso tool, Polygon Lasso tool, and the last one, Magnetic Lasso tool. The Lasso tool is similar to the previous one. As I show you already, we can use this tool to create a region. Let me show you this first. So when we have the selection of the tool, and if we have a blank layer, make sure you can add a blank layer and select that one. You can click at certain point, hold the button of the mouse. We can now start dragging by holding the button of the mouse. If you want to create a region of the selection, make sure you can hold the button of the mouse and start an endpoint that you can match. With this way, you can get the selection. This is a random selection region where you have options to fill the color. So in this case, I'm choosing the brush tool. We can then further fill the area with the color. Only the selected region is affected. Outside areas are not affected. So Control Z and Control Z once again. The same that we can explore with the other options, the other images. There we can apply the same feature. Lasso tool that we can select. We can randomly select the area. But in this time, we are not getting the selection of the head only, but instead of that, the defined area only selected. If you want to crop the area, you can also use the shortcut Control X to cut and Control V to paste. With this way, you can separate randomly part of the pixels on the image. So we can use this tool in a very specific case. Control Z for undo. The next tool is the Polygon Lasso tool. Lasso tool is a freehand selection tool. You can draw just like the pen. But Polygon Lasso tool is also used to get the selection of the region, but here we can draw the line, the straight kind of the line, horizontally, vertically, or you are free to draw in any angle. When you click at one point, and when you drag, a line is going to follow the polygon tool. We can then click again, and match the starting point. With this way, we can get the selection of the kind of line. Control D for deselect in the same way. You can click multiple times, and when you match the starting point, you get the selection accordingly, like this. If you want to cut the area, want to fill the specific color, anything is possible with this one. So let me show you. I'm choosing a specific color, that may be this. We can then further add new blank layer and use the shortcut Alt backspace to fill the foreground color in this area. Control D for deselect. If we change the opacity of this layer, we have the transparency of this layer, and for that reason the background is also visible. So this is a way through which you can optimize your graphics and create multiple things. Hold Alt and drag the selected layer to make one copy of this one. So with this way we can customize the graphics and the images by choosing the tool, Polygon tool. The next is the Magic Lasso tool. This is also used for the selection region, but just like the magnetic, here we have the magnet type of the selection. Click outside. We can click at one point, and then you exactly define the area. You just need to hold the button of the mouse and start dragging, defining the area. But this way, you can get the region that automatically selected if the area is clear. So edges are sharp and clear. You can just follow this. With this way, you can get the selection. But this is not the ideal tool all the time that you can use. But in a very specific case, you can use this one. I'm randomly going to match the starting point, and then after we get the selection of the region. Control D for deselect. So this is how we can use this. Now, come to the first tool here. That is the selection brush tool. When you click to select this tool, we can get brush. If I show you with an example, we can just hold the button of the mouse to create a region. This works just like a brush. We get the region of the selection, but the selection region is not visible directly. So we can use the tool move. Click the move tool, and then further we can see we have the region selected. If you want to increase the region of the selection or deselect the extra region, again use this tool. The add is active. We can then further click at certain point and start dragging. This is how we can increase the region of the selection. If you want to deselect the area, which is already selected here, in this case, choose the subtract option from here. When you click to this, subtract is active. We can then further use this brush. Just hold the button of the mouse. You can now drag, decrease the region, or we can say deselect the region. And then further use the move tool and click outside. So this is how we can use this tool for the selection. These all tools are very important while designing the graphics, manipulating the images, or even while using the retouching options. These tools are used frequently. So, marquee tool, different selection tools, just like the object selection, quick selection, magic wand, and selection brush tool, lasso tool, polygon lasso tool, and magnetic lasso tool. These all are important. We are also going to use these tools in the upcoming sessions when it is required. So, these tools are important inside the Photoshop.